Hi, I'm Holly Sawyer. I am from Dothan, and as of January 1st of this year, I'm a solo practitioner. Formerly, I was a partner at Lewis, Bracken, Flowers, Johnson, and Sawyer in Dothan. That was my first and only job out of law school, and baby bird flew from the nest. So I'm out on my own, and it's going very well. I'm very happy with my lot in life, and I'm just in a really good place right now. And I am very, very flattered that y'all have asked me to speak at this. When Christy called me and asked me, I thought, oh my God, what do I possibly know more about than a room full of smart lawyers? And the answer to that is woefully little. I have a mostly civil practice. People ask me a lot, what kind of cases are you taking? And my answer is any kind where people are fussing about money. So I do a whole lot of divorce, and what has become one of the cornerstones of my practice is mediation, and I'm a little bit proud of that. I have built a pretty successful mediation practice. I mediate, 2-3 cases a week. I just looked at my numbers for the first quarter. I've mediated 24 cases this year. Mediation in our circuit for domestic cases has become all the rage. The judges love it because it gets these cases off their dockets that they don't want to have to deal with. The lawyers love it because how many of y'all practice domestic relations routinely? Sometimes people they don't take good news well. I don't want to shock you, but people don't like hearing things they don't want to hear, and sometimes lawyers just need help delivering bad news again. And the parties like mediation because, number one, they can come to me, sit down with their lawyers, hack through the issues, and get out the backside without having to go blow one another up over at the courthouse. It's also a little bit of one-stop shopping. They will come and I will mediate their case, get it settled, draft their settlement agreements and their documents, and they can get on with their lives and stop hemorrhaging money. So, how many of you have ever seen the Hot Crazy Matrix? All right, good, a lot of you. Because I was about to say, if none of y'all seen it, talk over, we're all gonna watch that because those guys are way more clever than I could ever be. For those of you who've never seen it, if you've got 6 minutes to spare, get on YouTube and look it up. It's this index that this guy has built based on how the hot a woman is versus how crazy she is, and it's good-natured and it's funny, so just check it out. Anyway, for you guys today, I'm going to present to you the anatomy of a divorce mediation in the tone of the Hot Crazy Matrix. All right. In the interest of saving time, I've gone ahead and plotted this out. So you got your x-axis, which is time, and this is in hours. Over here on your y-axis is percent chance of settlement. I'll go ahead and tell you, I settle about 75% of my cases. I've been plotting my stats over the last about 5 years that I've been doing this, so I got a lot of data. And by the way, one of the things I love about mediation is that I love lawyers. I love being here with you guys, and I get to watch smart lawyers interact with their clients. I get to help them. It's really made my practice a whole lot more holistic. I've learned to really view things sort of from the other person's perspective. So it's made me a much more well-rounded practitioner. But anyway, there's different phases of a mediation. This first phase down here, and this is in time, they typically start about 9 a.m., so this is about 9 o'clock in the morning. This first little 30 minutes or so is the introduction, and it's what I call the Holly Show. It's where I can talk to these people. I try to disarm them a little bit, and the very first thing I ever say to them is, I want you to be as comfortable as you can in this environment. And you can actually see people's visage change when I say that, because it's important to them to know that all this razzle-dazzle I'm putting on up there is for them, and I want them to be relaxed and to really think about getting the job done. It also gives me the opportunity to sort of assess how to approach them. What's going to work? What's their tone? What's their mood? Are they happy to be there? Are they nervous? Do they hate the other person? So we spend a little bit of time on that. And I also give them a roadmap of where we're going and how we're going to get there, with an emphasis on what we're going to do when we start getting up on the lunch hour. And make a mental note of that because it's important. All right, the next phase in this, from around, 45 minutes or so to the next hour or so, is what I call Festivus 1. the airing of grievances. This is the point at which I get to hear what a piece of crap the other person is, how terrible the marriage is, how it's all her fault, none my fault. And I hear it from both sides. And I spend a lot of time apologizing for things that have nothing to do with me. And I'm being lighthearted about this, but that is such an important part of the mediation process and why it works, because it is incredibly cathartic to people to be able to just get it all off their chest and have somebody say to them, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. And I am. I mean, it's a divorce and it's terrible. So once we get through this, we move into the next phase, which is Festivus 2, the feats of strength. This is the part where I earn my fee. I get in there and I wrestle these people to the ground. And I first attempt to do it by applying logic and take the emotion out of it. And I say to them, this is how you settle any of these cases. It's not unique to yours. It's the same way you settle any lawsuit. You gotta offer them something better than their worst day in court. And I try to approach it very logically, and that works. And I get told this a lot by men lawyers in particular. Holly, you're a woman, but you think like a man. And I take that as a compliment because I know what they mean. They think I'm a very logical thinker, and I appreciate that. I accept it in the spirit in which it's offered. If logic doesn't work on people, I'll play upon their emotions shamelessly. I will say to people things like, well, he hadn't said anything bad about you, or she says you're a really good dad, and it helps. People really like feeling a little bit validated by the other person, and they're not in there just trashing them. And my lady lawyer friends that also mediate and I have talked about this a lot, and if we employed that level of manipulation in our own relationships, we're walking out on the street, the word sociopath might get thrown around a little, but it's all in the spirit of getting these people's cases settled. All right, right here, this line right here is the hanger line. Do you know what hanger is? Hungry plus angry? The hanger line. Hunger is an interesting thing. It's a little like weapons-grade plutonium. You can harness it and use it, and it's a very useful tool, but if you mishandle it, you're gonna blow some things up. So right here, just to the right side of the hanger line, is the settlement sweet spot. And if you look at the time, this is about lunch 30. This is where I can typically get people's cases settled. And you would be shocked at what people are willing to agree to in order to get away from me and to a hamburger. And my daughter one time, I got a 9-year-old, and she's awesome. And about 2 years ago, we were talking in front of her about an employee we had at the firm who wasn't very good and needed to be fired. And nobody wants to fire somebody. It's terrible. So Libby was listening to us, and she said, here's what you need to do. Walk in her cubicle, tell her she's fired, then hand her a piece of cake and go out of the room. And I thought, not the worst advice I've heard. And how can I parlay that into a business model? So one of the things that I do is that I always have the good snacks. And my boyfriend says, that ought to be your slogan, we have the good snacks. But this is important. So what I typically do, I can usually settle a case by lunch 30. I send people out to go get lunch, and I will stay there and draft their documents, have them come back in about 45 minutes or so, and then we sign them, get them on their way, and they're out of my office by 2:30 or so. In the event that I cannot settle the case, we enter this phase, which is bedlam. The wheels come off, everything's on fire. I hear lawyers saying things like, if you don't agree to this, I'm gonna have you sign a document that says that it's against my advice. I say things to people like, calm down, you're overreacting. It's all part of it. And the atomic bomb, you picked him. I mediate so much for the same lawyers that I've heard them finally say to your client, you picked her. And I'm like, ooh. And that honestly has gotten sort of mixed results from people that range from grudging acceptance, yeah, I did, to me getting flipped the bird. But hey, it's all part of it. Why only 75%, you might ask? Holly, what are the impediments to resolving 100% of your cases? Well, I've distilled it down to 3. 1, anger. 2, one party or the other doesn't want to get divorced. And 3, Jesus. When these people play the Jesus card on me, as I've come to call it, what they're saying is, Miss Sawyer, I understand your logic. I understand my lawyer's advice, but I've prayed on it, and I'm just not going to do it. What that means is I'm going for it. And the other day, somebody played that card with me, and you know how you always think of the clever retort, the next morning when you're in the shower? I was sitting there listening to it, and I said, ma'am, please don't do that. Please don't do that. $7,000 a month is a lot of alimony, and the Lord works in mysterious ways, and what if he wants to teach you a lesson on poverty? So, needless to say, I did not get that case settled. But anyway, that, friends, is the anatomy of divorce mediation. So if any of y'all have a problem, I can 75% of the time solve it for you. But thank you.